What if I told you that the key to unlocking generational wealth in crypto isn't about timing the market, but something far more personal, my friends? Today's show, I bring you a special guest, a very good friend of mine, Mr. Brett Fogel, a crypto investing expert, an author and speaker, a business growth specialist, and a real estate investor in the house. Mr. Fogel, what's up, Brett?
Hey, Carlos, it's been a while. It's good to see you, my friend.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
yeah.
I'm super excited, man. I saw you smiling. Me play Michael Saylor and Elon. I played that for my good friend Max Kaiser and Stacy. They have been on the show in the past. I love.
Uh-huh.
Shout out to my brother Max. He's over there advising the president in El Salvador, and they're doing beautiful things to that country. I've been on a lot of Twitter Spaces this past month, and it's just incredible, brother, what crypto is doing for countries. Like we will never knew, right? El Salvador, very dangerous country, a lot of crime, and what he was able to do there because of crypto, just phenomenal. We're talking about reducing crime, rapes, kidnapping, so much that people at the beginning, people would, crypto is a bunch of criminals or dark web, all the things you and I, saw over the years being in this game for so long. I mean, you've been in the game for a minute, and I'm excited to dive deep with you. And I want to start the show today with a fun fact for you guys listening. You guys probably heard about this story before, and is the most expensive pizza in history. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the $800 million pizza slice. If you guys didn't know this story, in 2010, programmer Laszlo, he made history by buying two Papa John's pizza for 10,000 Bitcoin. As of now, the first week or whenever you are listening to the show, let's just call it February 2025, BTC is about 97,000, give it or take. We are talking about $970 million pizza. Just totally insane. Back at that time was about 41 bucks, give it or take, around that time in 2010. And, very, very excited, Brett, to go deep over here with you, my friend, and talk about, the market and how's everything been and all your expertise. But you bought, Brett, Bitcoin at 20 bucks. A legendary entry point, 20 freaking dollars.
There's a story. You need to hear the story, but go ahead.
I want to hear that. And that's why I'm reframing here. But walk us through that moment, and what did you see that others miss, right? And how did that shape your mindset? I know, for crypto investing, because it took me a minute. Somebody told me in the, like 2012, 13, 14. I was like, nope, not until 2015. And I was like, okay. And then 16, 17, start buying it, bought it at all time, 20,000, and then 10, and then the thing go back down. And I had my fair share. Our good friend, Mr. Saylor, shout out to my brother, Mike. He rebranded MicroStrategy to strategy with the B, And so walk us about your story, Brett.
Yeah, and by the way, Michael Saylor, when we talk about him all the time, it's shorter to call it Michael Strategy, but he preempted me by just calling it strategy. So I think
Yes.
they should just call it Saylor.
And then, Michael, if you're listening, brother, to the show, we got to get you on the show, my friend. Just putting it out there. Universe, make sure that Michael Saylor come on the carlosinspireshow.com. Let's go, Brett. Tell us about the $20 entry gangster point.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wish it was the result of lots of analysis and my brilliance, but I was actually living in Boca Raton and had started a kitchen table business on teaching investors how to trade options and Forex, called the Options University. But that's not really relevant other than I was driving to Orlando for a venture fast pitch to pitch a software company I was building on the internet marketing space. I hit traffic, missed the whole meeting, but I wound up talking to the founder of BitPay. And he was explaining Bitcoin to me. And I said, can I meet you next weekend? And will you meet me and tell me more about this Bitcoin? So I drove back up another 3-hour drive the next Friday, met with Tony Gallipoli, and in a bar restaurant, he knew the owner, and he said, "Give me $20 and give me your phone." So I handed him my phone here, and $20, and I didn't know what somehow he downloaded a Bitcoin onto my phone on the condition that I used the Bitcoin to pay for the appetizers and the drinks. So that was my $96,000 happy hour. So
Damn,
96,000.
$96,000 happy hour back in 2010. Oh my God. Man, I just,
2013. Yeah.
wow, that is
So go ahead.
crazy. No, yeah, 2000. I'm thinking about the pizza 2010. You came in on 2013 at $20. Man, that is an expensive appetizer. And then did you wait on buying more? And then what that kind of, what happened from there?
I just and just for anyone who thinks you've missed it, I had multiple chances to get involved, and I recently found an email that I sent to my father in 2012 about Bitcoin because he was a big investor, and I have the email where he wrote back saying thanks, but this seems too risky, and truthfully, it was back then. It was very risky, and so my hats off to anybody that bought and held. I was also invited to a mastermind in 2014 in St. Martin with crypto people and some of the founders of the other projects. And I remember that. So some of the things that are happening finally today, 10 years later, they were describing on the island, and we were like, "What are you talking about? That's crazy." But that's finally coming around. But still, I didn't buy. I didn't start buying until 2018. And frankly, I was doing very badly investing and trading it because I didn't have the right tools. And so my best trade though was I forgot I had a bunch of Ethereum. And so in 2021, when things got hot again, I said, I wonder if I have any crypto left. And of course, my ETH had gone up quite a bit. And by then I was hooked and got brought into this business that I'm now the co-founder of because an old friend and employee of mine said, "Hey, what are you doing right now?" I had built $1 million international seminar business, and that had gone to zero because of COVID. So I said, "I don't really have anything going on right now." And he said, "Well, we need you, and would you come over and get involved with crypto?" And so the rest is history.
Wow, man, what an incredible story, Brett. Incredible. I'm just so looking forward, man, to continue here with the show. I remember, and for some of you guys that have been listening to me for a while on the podcast, on the show, back in 2017, around my birthday, around January, I was telling people, guys, Ethereum is at below $100. Go stash it. At that point, I think Ethereum is going to be anywhere between 5 and 9,000. I missed the mark. I actually went to 4,000. But all my family, my friends, and my followers that bought it at 100, they hold on for a little bit. And you guys know me. I keep it up front. I even talk about I'm about to exit. I think I exit around 35, 3,600. And I got so blessed, Brett, right before it went back down to like 1,000 from the dip that we saw happening. But like you said, man, I give my hats off anybody that have the balls to come in. And often what I tell people, right, like not a financial advice, you guys know the drill. I always used to say, I know that it's lame, but I gotta drop a disclaim. I'm not a financial advisor, but I have helped my friends become wealthier and wiser. But the deal is dollar cost average yourself in and dollar cost average yourself out. That's the best ever known financial advice. And
Good advice.
out there. So if you feel greedy, sell a little bit off the top. When everybody's freaking out, that's when we go shopping. And no, brother, this is great, my friend. And Brett, tell us something. I mean, you predicted cycles high before, and where you think Bitcoin is heading next, and what is the one signal real investors are ignoring right now? Let's go a little bit deep for the folks that are listening to the show. And I'm streaming this on LinkedIn for the first time. I never talk about money and investing on LinkedIn. So for the first time, we're doing this on LinkedIn about money because I think there's a lot of incredible people on LinkedIn, guys. Come and hang out with us on X, on Twitter, because there's a lot of things happening right now. And you guys know the power of being first, right? Imagining being able to find something like the next pizza, but just putting it out there, or seeing Elon Musk putting a tweet for the first time about Doge. When Elon posted that Twitter out, I put in a few $1,000s on Doge, and that was a nice 50x within 90 days from that day. But it pays to stay on top of the game, setting up notifications and being ahead of the trend and having the right tools. And you're very good at those things, Brett. So walk us through, Brett, what do you think with your experience, what do you think is next? And what are the investors and potential investors ignoring right now?
Sure. And well, first of all, you kind of look like the guy in the Bitcoin pizza photo. So maybe you're a time traveler and that was really
Right? I
you.
do. Holy Jesus.
Well, not so much, and I want to just give kudos to the president of El Salvador. I was at the Bitcoin conference in 2021 when they announced El Salvador is going to go on Bitcoin, and the whole just the feeling in the room was like, okay, this is really happening, and certainly that he's been validated by that decision. So kudos to him. And so anyway, what are people missing and where's Bitcoin headed next? Well, that is the question of the day. And I'm going to tell you, it's a lot easier to choose and pick those tops and bottoms at the inflection points. I did call the market top in November of 2021 and started telling people to get into cash. December, the same. And then January was pounding the table, get out of the markets. Not everyone listened to me, but I just was on a call last hour with one of my private clients who did listen. And he said, you saved me $100,000 at least because I got out. And then at the bottom, we were telling people to get in December of 2023 and into the end of 2022 into 2023 at the bottom. People thought I was crazy then as also, but we could see it. The markets tend to overreact. And we saw that last weekend with all of this with FUD, as we call it, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt that, we'll get into that. But basically it was a lot of nothing and it's now bouncing back, like you said. But so where is it going now? I think there's a good chance we pull back down to around, certainly 90K, possibly 84K. And probably the big reason is it got ahead of itself with the election of Donald Trump. We call it the Trump pump. We saw a cycle low on that same date and the election. So everyone was jumping in and really we went from like 70, 75K up to 100 in no time on the backs of that news and the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve and a pro Bitcoin administration, which is all, happening, but hasn't happened yet. The real reason it hasn't going higher is that the Fed hasn't continued dropping rates, very much based on liquidity of the global markets. Not to get into the geek speak here, but there's still some fears that if we dropped interest rates again, we thought we'd have 4 or 5 interest rate cuts this year. Now they're saying, yeah, maybe not. And so the market's really saying, inflation fears, economic fears certainly are impeding this. But the reason we dropped this past weekend was not just Trump tariffs. Everyone thought, oh, it's Trump's fault, the tariffs. No, it's not. It's not it. That was a convenient catalyst and fear. One of the analogies I use is when the price goes up to high levels and lingers there for too long, it's kind of like a good old fashioned Chinese weather balloon just waiting to be shot out of the sky. All it takes is a catalyst. So really what happened is over the weekend, of course, when, so the market makers, the whales, they can see your cards essentially. They know where liquidation levels are. They know where stop losses are. So all they had to do is kind of come in and say, hey, Wall Street's not on, ETFs aren't buying because it's a weekend. Let's dump price and hit some stop losses that'll trigger liquidations, that'll cause, institutional programmatic selling. They know, the market makers these days are advanced AIs. So, they follow the money. All of this happened and they wiped out over, well, I've heard 2 billion in leverage, as much as 10 billion in leverage, the most ever. It was a money grab for those of you who want the TLDR. Sold off to around 91K, where we can visibly see there are buy orders. And we actually made money on that day because I had a feeling that the price, the drop would continue into Monday. So I had advised people and I had limit buy orders on things like Solana. I got out of Bitcoin at 106,000 over the weekend or before the weekend because I thought this doesn't look good. And I'll buy back lower. But on those big dumps, though, we love it. As you said, buy the dips. Those capitulation sell-offs are excellent ways to, if you know what you're doing. So I had orders filled overnight while I was sleeping that I woke up in profit to on Solana. And so anyway, and what was the other question? I think it was, what are people missing? And
Yeah, the other part of that question was, what are something that they are ignoring right now? That's the part 2 of that question. Things that people ignore that they could have been paying close attention on. I use different tools to look at things, you know what I mean? And I agree with you, but what else do you think some of the things that they may be ignoring that can help them be better prepared, for their entry points or exit points, in additional value that with your experience, I can give my point of view as well on that. But what do you think in your experience?
Yeah, well, I mean, I liken the markets to, the Russian dolls, the wooden dolls where there's another one inside the other one inside the other one. And you need to account for all of them. The outer one is the economy and liquidity. I'd done a study on TradingView for global liquidity cycles, and they're very repetitive. And so we knew that, well, we had a strong feeling, can't say we knew but the liquidity cycles, once they turned up, that we would see that surge above 100K. And so that happened, but they started turning down. Just think of it as, money going into the system and coming out. Those stimulus checks, yeah, after the pandemic, a lot of them went into the stock market, into crypto. And so it's, is there extra money lying around? So we've seen a pullback on liquidity, but cycle wise, it's also common to see pullbacks January, February, and then a real push higher. However, every cycle, they say this cycle is different, but this cycle is different. We got ahead of our skis a little bit, the all-time high before the halving. And so currently, not how familiar your audience is with the altcoin season and the different cycles, but generally what
We have a lot of
happens.
folks here on live on X. They are heavy, and then the folks on LinkedIn, I'm bringing them into this world because I think we can help them big time with some of the things that we teach.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I mean, just to break it down, generally what happens is, you have the halving, it reduces the amount of supply. And, more importantly, it coincides with the liquidity cycles. But Bitcoin usually runs first and the money flows into Bitcoin. Bitcoin dominance goes up, which is really just a percentage of how much overall money in the total market is going toward Bitcoin. And then when Bitcoin breaks to new highs, people start taking profits, but they don't want cash. They want to put it and keep it in crypto. So they take profits in Bitcoin and they start buying Ethereum and other layer ones, Chainlink, Solana, and then that cycle repeats. Those go up, and then people take profit, put into the smaller altcoins, and then the meme coins and the affectionately called shit coins, and everything kind of cycles through. The problem this cycle is that, and what people are ignoring really, is that there isn't enough money to push all of the altcoins higher this time, because so much of it went into the meme coins and not the ETH based meme coins. See, the last cycle we had Ethereum and being driven by NFTs and the gas fees, which are basically transaction costs, which were very high. And that really helped propel Ethereum. Well, this cycle, we didn't see that. And that's why Ethereum's been suffering. Solana, another layered one blockchain, came out, which originally I had recommended at $35 in August of 2021 in our newsletter, and I had a good run at that. But because of the low transaction speeds, and so meme coins went crazy this cycle. And you're nodding because I can see you're aware. Everyone got into meme coins and pump fun, and everyone's making, but the money all got sucked out of the altcoin market, and that's really the challenge. So.
And I heard that the meme coin also lost, right? About, I think they lost forgot the number, the amount was like $80 billion this last month was removed liquidity from their markets. Been a lot of manipulations and a lot of things. I even heard that the government is investigating pump fund and a lot of things happening there. So I always tell people, be very careful with meme coins, understand what you are doing, learning from the pros. And, and I always tell people, whenever you start playing dart, throw darts at it, right? Put $1 here, $1 there, $2 here, $5 there. Learn, lose a little bit of money by learning it. And then once you become good with it, then you can throw bigger darts, 10, 100, $1,000. But again, not a financial advice, but definitely a very wild market, the meme space, which we'll talk a little bit more about that, but continue. I'm really enjoying this conversation here because I really want to equip our folks. A lot of people here on LinkedIn, they have big 401ks and maybe they want to diversify some of their money. And then you guys know me, a little quick shameless plug, right? I've been talking about finance and wealth for a very long time. One of my companies, I own insurance agencies throughout the country. For anybody here, what if you could make your money work as hard as you without the additional risk? Right? What if you could diversify and create the foundation for a tax-free retirement? This is something that I've been specializing over the last 10 plus years in my teams, and we help a lot of people out there. You're making your money in crypto, you're making your money in real estate. Take some of the top, especially when you feel greedy, then diversify that money in becoming the bank. Where your money grows tax-free, you can borrow it tax-free, and when the market crashes it, you lose zero. It's 100% protected. If you want to learn more about that, go to disruptorscode.com. Watch a 1 hour video there of me walking as CEO on how to start and how to build his own bank. And then get on a calendar and let's talk about your situation. 100, $300 a month. That goes a long way. So that's just a little shameless plug for one of our companies, disruptorscode.com. Continue, my friend Brett.
Yeah, well, to tie into that, and that's I'd like to hear more about that. But to a couple $100 a month to put into Bitcoin and crypto over time. Certainly, people who did that early on and just kept adding. You mentioned dollar cost averaging, and so even though we do time the market and do try to time the market, the DCA or dollar cost averaging over time has always been the best way to do it, because nobody really knows when there's going to be a big dip. And so hence the name dollar cost averaging. If you're buying every week or every month, you're naturally going to average your price out at the best possible price, unless you're able to nail those market bottoms, which is really difficult. So, that's an easy way to look at it. Just have everything on autopilot every month. But certainly, there are nuances to that also. We have one of my partners is a quant engineer and programmer and trader. So we have coded some signals where we visualize where the buy orders are on the exchange. So we put a green box around that, and where the sell orders, we put a red box around that. So visually we could see, and I'm looking at on my under screen, around that 107, 106K level, heavy buy or heavy sell orders. So I was like, this is going to go lower. So it's kind of like the Wizard of Oz. If you do have the right tools, you realize it's not magic. If you peek behind the curtain and he had all those gears and pulleys, well, we can see what's really going on with some of the signals that Joe, one of our partners, has created. But at any rate, let's see. What did you want to talk about?
Awesome. This is exactly what we were talking about. It's like giving people tools and strategies. Here, I'll give you guys a strategy that I use. So for you guys that are watching us live and you are watching this, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to share with you guys one tool that I use. For you guys that are listening to this on the podcast, we have a large number of people here watching us live. So I'm going to share one of my window. For you guys listening, what I'm sharing right now on the screen is a tool called coinglass.com. At coinglass.com, I want you guys to go to Liquidation Map API. And what I'm showing here to the folks watching us live, you're actually able to see, guys, the shorts and the longs in the market. This, you see the amounts of people that are shorting, the amounts of people are longing, and at which price point. Starting from all my advanced trading folks, I'm going to be talking over here like I'm teaching a 5-year-old because I want every person to understand. So this is a very powerful tool because, as you guys can see right now, we are at this point. Today's recording is February 7, 2025. This show is going to go out for distribution on podcast a few weeks from now. But doing this live, we see over here 96,345. You guys see the arrow? You can see before the arrow the amount of people that place their longs. Beyond the arrow, you can see the amount of people putting shorts. And you see how high they are. Those are 50x, 100x leverages. I don't recommend playing with leverages. When I learned crypto over a decade ago, I got wrecked all the time by messing with leverages because the exchanges, like to Brett's point, they can see everything that's happening. And then if you set up your stop losses and your take profits, guess what? They have the ability to inject a whole bunch of cash with their hedge funds and their homies and wipe us out, whether it's up or down. That's why when you guys see a long wick like a needle on the freaking looking at the markets, that's what happens from that. And that's why I like to teach you guys this way. So it's a very cool tool to pay attention. So pay attention. If you see a bunch of shorts, you already know what's going to happen right here. Anywhere between, at this point, 96.8 and 100K is a lot of shorts. To Brett's point, we can see this thing come back down to test it 90.91. We don't want to see it break it below those levels because if not, it's going to break lower levels, 85, 80, 75. The market likes to move that way. So this is a little cool strategy that I like to share with my people. So go to CoinGlass. And again, I should probably make them or a sponsor of the show, and which we are looking for sponsors of great companies and great people out there. As you guys know, we donate a lot of money to help people in the streets. We were down in the streets in LA this week over here in the Stockton area. We go around the streets and we handle people cash. They are struggling. I often look for veterans, and I'm looking for women selling tamales and foods and fruits on parking lots. And we ask them, how much you make today? Oh, $50, $100. It's $300. So a shout out to everybody that come on the show or guests that they donate money to our causes. You guys know me. I don't like to have a camera in front of people because I sold bread on the street. My mom sold things on the street. And I don't like handle people money and putting a camera on their face. From once in a while, I put it out there. It's to inspire you guys, not to be showing, oh, look at Carlos giving money to people on the streets. Do to others what you wish was done to you. So that's the tool idea that I highly recommend you guys look into it. Coinglass.com. Liquidation map APY. Look at a Binance, the exchange's liquidation heat maps, and that can give you guys an idea what's happening with the big money, the big whales, the people that move the markets. Just a little pro tip from your brother, Carlos Inspire. All right, Brett, my friend. Next question, brother. We are in the stick of this bull run. Some people are trying to bring the agenda and say the bull run might be over. We keep seeing different things and different conversations online. Everybody has their opinion. Like my godmother say, taste is like your ass. Everybody have their own. But we are in the thick of this bull run. What's your non-negotiable rule for surviving volatility and avoid bull market burned out?
Well, non-negotiable rule is to, similar to dollar cost averaging on the way in, as to sell partial positions as it goes below key levels or at resistance areas. And that way, see, the reason people get wrecked is they have FOMO and, confirmation bias. So they're buying at the top, or maybe they're seeing it go down and they're seeing their losses. And that makes it harder to sell all of it. They're like, well, if I sell it all, I'm going to lose. I can't lose all that money. But that's really dangerous because it can certainly go lower and lower, and then people capitulate and sell and give up. So taking partial losses makes that a little easier along the way. Also, the other reason for that, though, is so that you have powder dry, because not everyone has unlimited capital, so that you can buy it lower in a support zone. And if you'd like, I could share my screen and kind of piggyback off of the liquidation maps that you were showing just to see how we can see that. I'm not sure how to do that here, but
yeah, definitely. I'll be happy. I would love to see that. See if you're able to share. I haven't had a guest share here in years, but on the bottom of the screen, see if you see a tab that called present and then a little plus sign. And if you do see that.
Yeah, I got it. So I'm on two monitors here. So what we're going to do, I got it. We're going to do this. The entire screen.
See, that's what I'm talking about, Brett. I appreciate it. I knew you were going to play full out and bring massive value here between you and I, man. You've been in this game for a long time. I've been in a long time. And now I have the ability to bring your screen here. Okay, great. So now you guys are seeing Brett's screen. And for you guys that are listening to the show, normally after I release the show on carlosinspireshow.com every Monday at 5:07 a.m. Pacific time, on that same day, we release the video on YouTube. So for some of you guys that want to watch what Brett and I are sharing here live in real time, giving you guys a visual understanding so you guys don't get wrecked, you don't fall for the traps of the manipulations of the whales and the markets and the movers and shakers out there, go on my YouTube at Carlos Inspires in the plural, and you'll be able to watch this video there right after we release the podcast for audio distribution in a few weeks from now, and you can get the gist. But go ahead, my friend. I can see your screen, and everybody that's listening to us live, if you have any question over here in real time, drop your question below. I'll be more than happy to bring the question on the screen. Thousands of people will be seeing you and your name and your question. So ask us anything in addition to the questions that I am asking my friend Brett. And you guys know me, anything goes. I'm an open book. I keep it at 100. I talk about when I enter, when I sell, when I exit, if I see manipulation, if I get cheated, if I get rugged. I talk about everything. I don't hold down, because do to others what you wish others would done to you. Let's freaking go, Brett.
Okay, well, thank you. And so first of all, what I want to say to you is that this is a very cool chart, But if it makes your eyeballs hurt, and you don't need to learn these things, certainly interesting, but all of these references on the left side, the good news is if you're new, you don't really need to worry about that. And you let someone else who kind of knows what they're doing can explain it to you. But let's see, I just clicked on something that I wanted to share, but this other version is what the professionals see. And these are levels of liquidations. So, this typically is in a magnet attracts price because the market maker AIs and market makers and whales, they want to push prices to those levels. So we see there's a bunch of liquidations here at just over 100,000. That's why, and I've been saying for 6 months, that $100,000 level would be such an epic battle, because in reality, this is where the market makers make their money. And since they take the opposite side of the trade, they're losing on the way up, except for transaction costs, but they're making their money liquidating longs and shorts in this area. So that's why the TLDR for me is, and I'll go back to the other chart there, but I'm really not going to buy Bitcoin fully until we're back above 110,000 or close above 110,000 in what's called price discovery mode, because this is where they don't know what price will be supported, and this is a great time to be catching momentum. But this red box here is where we've visualized where all of the sellers limit orders are. So similar to this, which is a lot to take in, and a little bit, I don't look at this because there's so much going on. Day traders use these mostly, but with us, we'd like to buy in the green boxes where the buyers are lined up. Think of it as a tug of war. The green team is down here and the red team is up here. And the real reason there's market volatility is without it, there's no game. If the tug of war only had the green team and there was nobody to pull against, and if the green team always won, the red team wouldn't even show up, right? So,
and and just a little quick too, whenever you guys saw me early talking about the wicks, you see this wick over here coming way down, touching that green. This is just market manipulation, guys. Whenever you guys see wicks like there, our whales, big money folks moving these things around, they want to shake you out of the market. And like you guys been seeing me talking about, for example, on XRP for a long time. I'm a big fan of XRP. I like what they are doing. As you guys know me, I'm half American, half Brazilian. Move a lot of money internationally, and what they are doing to bring the whole world together and all the banks, it's very, very powerful. And it's important that you guys are setting notifications on Twitter, right? Follow Brett, follow myself, go on Twitter, click on that plus button to every time we post something, we tweet something, you guys are getting first because it pays to be first. I have a bunch of cool AI tools and bots that are out there searching the markets, looking for messages from Elon, from Trump, from Brett Garlinghouse, from Ripple. So whenever things are happening within those spaces, within those cryptos and blockchain projects, we hear it first and we share with our audience. And you guys know what happens when you are in it first. Just want to put that out there. Follow Brett Fogel on Twitter, on X, and follow myself as well on X, Coach Cicada, Siqueira. But continue, Brett. I love this, brother.
Sure. And I just pulled up a picture over on Solana because a couple things. I was on a call earlier with a client, and we were having a big green candle, and these are otherwise bullish signals, bullish engulfing candle, and we had some other things that were looking green on our custom signals. But he said, "Should I go buy it?" And I said, "No, wait for the end of the day, because typically we see end of day sell-offs, especially on Fridays." So this was a big green bullish candle about 2 hours ago. Sure enough, they're selling it off. And so we want to be careful. And if you're using trading signals, use it based on end of day data. But down here in the DCA buy zone, I'm glad you mentioned dollar cost averaging, because, I have doubled my Solana over the last 6 months by buying in these where the other buyers were lined up. Every time it came down in the buy zone, I was buying and selling up here. So I turned 40 Solana into 90. And just the other day, this is a little bit more advanced, but if you are good at sort of understanding the mental side of the market, when things were kind of coming down on the Trump tariff trade or trade war, I knew Great. They would overreact. So it was last Sunday, and I put out a buy alert, and I put in limit buy orders down here between 175 and 200. So all of these filled overnight, and I woke up already in profits on that bounce. And so, it remains to be seen what happens here. But I like simple things, trade channels, trend lines. I don't get into Elliott waves and all that other fancy, overcomplicated things you don't need.
No, too many people on YouTube, they complicate it. They're trying to predict the market. It's a bunch of BS. You are your best fiduciary agent, guys. Whether if you're going to come in DCA, buy a few $100 every month, and just whenever you feel greedy, sell a little bit off the top. When everybody's freaking out, have cash on hand, 30%. That's when we go shopping. I have, bots and things that buy from me on all these dips. I give you guys a massive pro tip. As you guys, I told you guys, I've been studying this and been in the game since 2015. I started buying heavy, 16, 17. And I had my fair share of losses and wins. Made a lot, lost a lot. Thank God, way more profit than losses over the years because I learned. Nobody likes losing. Eventually, you learn. But around February, Chinese New Year, the first week of every year in February, that's Chinese New Year, they take massive amounts of liquidity from the market because the Chinese, they handle cash to people around this time of the year. That's part of their tradition. I did not know that, 8, 9 years ago. So I went ahead and went heavy right before Chinese New Year on leverage. Do what I tell you, don't do what I do. So lesson learned, never come in heavy right before Chinese New Year. Wait for the Chinese year to be over around the 12. And then you guys will see a lot of manipulation between now and then with markets going up and down. If you guys were looking at Brett's over here, you see a bunch of wicks. Those are like, manipulations, liquidity coming off the markets in heavy points. So definitely pay attention, guys. Chinese New Year, put that on your calendar. Remind yourself to be very careful in trading or coming in with heavy amounts of liquidity around this time. Like I tell you guys, we've given you guys our A game here today so that you guys can learn from the pro, from the people that lost a lot of money, made a lot of money, and help others made a whole lot of more money. And that's why we're having this conversation here today. Long due conversation, which I want to have more often, bringing more amazing people like Brett on the show where we can have a real discussions and talk about the goods, the bads, the ugly. And but Brother Brett, question for you. I want to talk a little bit about altcoins and your number one tier one altcoin pick. Is it about the tech, the team, or a secret third sector most overlooked? What could you say to that? Since we're talking about Solana right now, and Solana is an altcoin, let's talk about it.
Well, sure. And Solana is my number one altcoin pick, if you want to call it that. I've whittled down from 20 coins to about 7. I think it's really dangerous to have too many because if we see something like the other day, you just can't manage that many. So it's better to have really strong conviction coins that you really believe in, at least for this next phase of the bull, which I think, Bitcoin and Solana will lead. But, for Solana, it's transaction speed, they're venture backed, and they have captured the meme coin market. I think they've got a great team and a great revenue model. The big problem with most altcoins is that they don't have revenue, they don't have a revenue model, and they're pure speculation. And so if some of my criteria are as this must be venture backed or have revenue model. There's a couple that do like the DeFi arena, like Aave has been going up a lot because they're earning a lot of money. Once I've got a couple of really interesting DeFi picks that I like that once that turns will be great. But Solana is good because transaction per second, that's the other industry sector. Just to finish the analogy of the Russian dolls, it's overall economy, but inside of that are what sectors are going to be hot. What are the hot narratives? So we've got real world assets. We've got DePIN, which is decentralized physical infrastructure. We have transactions per second, which is a big one people aren't really talking about. But that's a big revenue model, and that's kind of like MasterCard, Visa. So there's a few in that, but Solana is the first. Sui is another one, but they've already 10x'd. I don't want to chase Sui at this point. It's probably going to retrace some more. And then there's a couple other handful of places like that we could see push higher, but gaming, not so much. The hot narratives of the last cycle, they don't have revenue yet. And, those are key things. So one of my favorite DePIN projects, which I won't get into, but they're competing with Amazon's most profitable segment, and they have customers, they're venture backed. So they have, I think, 40 to 150x potential, but it's risky, so what's most likely to go higher? Solana, at this point is my favorite. And, I always say, show me the chart, I'll tell you the news. It's just been in a nice, strong upward trending channel here. And they say the trend is your friend. So until that goes away, I'm in. And, but even if it breaks this sort of trend channel, there's the buyers are in this green box. And so I'm happy to buy anywhere down in this region.
And a question that just came out live over here from a follower. I love it because we got people over here on LinkedIn. We got people over here on Facebook, on X, on all the platforms live with us. And so FMan773 asks a question. How do you know where to go to find these buy zones and sell zones? What is your take, Brett, on that? I'd be happy to add my 2 cents, but I want you to go ahead and answer that question, my friend.
Sure. Yeah. Well, the answer specifically is these are our custom proprietary signals that we coded. But even if I turned those off, you can get a lot of that from your trend line and resistance areas, because Solana, if you go back in time, it hit resistance back in here at the old all-time high. So that was 250 is a critical resistance area. But for these specific signals, which we love and are new this season, and is pulling straight from the exchange. So this is pulling data from Coinbase. Where are the sell limit orders concentrated? If you'd like to learn more where to find these, I mean, I'm not here to plug anything, but maybe Carlos can get you the link, or I can mention where we sell these and our other.
No, definitely. I wanted them to follow you, my brother. And anything that you think that's going to help them and educate them, definitely. I'll be asking you also later the best links for them to follow you and to continue this conversation, because you know how we're doing it. We are dropping gold, and I want to give our followers here the best knowledge in the space and bring, like I tell you guys, I want to bring the greatest people in the game, people that I know they're out there helping people. And so over here, we see moonstream.io. That's the best place for them to go to learn more. Brett?
Yep. This is our website, and we've got something for everybody. There's different types of traders. There's the longer term buy and hold. We launched with our newsletter, which is for Mary Homemaker, who heard from Bob the plumber down the street about this thing called Bitcoin, kind of new, monthly recap and coin pick. The signals, though, this is for a more
quick question about the newsletter, a little quick. Are you running your newsletter on LinkedIn?
We're not.
Great strategy, by the way. All my LinkedIn friends over here, let them know. Anybody that's an influencer, that's educating, having a newsletter on LinkedIn is something very, very good. It's a great way to connect with our followers and talk about the things that we have that's happening. So great strategy there, Brett. Highly look into it, my brother. LinkedIn newsletter. It's a lot of people right now. Guys, it's a battle right now for videos. Like what we are doing here. Look at how many people we have here live. Hundreds of people. This is incredible. Live in real time from three different platforms. Why? Why do I do this and I stream in all these platforms? It's because the platforms, they want more videos, right? You see Elon, you see Zuckerberg, you see them hanging out, you see now Microsoft and LinkedIn and all these companies. They want more videos. Look at their platforms. Look at LinkedIn. When you scroll down on LinkedIn, what do you see? A video feed of Reels, short form videos. They want both. Oh, people, Carlos, they want short form videos. Yeah, I've been doing long form interviews on LinkedIn for a very long time, and I have hundreds of thousands of impressions every week on LinkedIn for free, $0 cost marketing. I think the same thing is going to happen on Twitter X. Elon is putting way too much money there on video. If you are an influencer, all my clients that I've been helping getting paid to speak, grow and scale your businesses, sell more of your courses, what do I always say? Do more videos. Put them everywhere. Record more interviews. Record yourself teaching if you don't want to interview nobody. And then clip the heck out of it, the live, and stream it. Put it one time a day. That's all you got to do. Make it one a day. Have an AI to do it for you. You don't have to do it. There are AI agents that can do stuff for us on our behalf. But definitely, you know me, Brett, I cannot help it but to give advice and highly recommend. I can see you killing it with the newsletter on LinkedIn, in addition to what you're already doing it, and you bring in thousands. Even if you bring in 5,000 people in the next 3 years, it's 5,000 loyal people listening and reading, keeping up, in addition to what you are doing right now, brother. So just a little pro tip, my friend. And I highly recommend you guys look into moonstream.io and look it up. Check it out, my friend Brett, man. I like Brett. We know each other for a long time, Brett. We've been on stages, speaking many masterminds and events around the world this past, I've been doing for 20 plus years, but I think you and I met probably 10 plus years ago in many, many stages. So highly check it out. You guys check it out. My brother, Brett Fogel at Moonstream.
Yeah.
That
And then the indicators are over here to answer your question on crypto mastery. And so these are the best I've ever used. We've created them. There's 10 of them in this that really give you an edge. And I do weekly live classes on Tuesday for free, showing how to use them. And then for anybody that's interested in my active trader group, that's where I'm giving coin picks and a weekly class with members and various other things. So you can click around on there. I'm not trying to, it's not here to sell you guys anything, but in this bull run, to have the right tools would be really helpful to know when to get in and get out and swing trade those oscillations. And because
man, I love it, brother. I love it. And just, to debunk the whole myth about selling anything, right? I often tell people, and a lot of my clients that are struggling with money, and they come to me, Carlos, I just spent all this money on this guru, and now I'm broke. I need to make more money. I'm like, okay, just make more offers. You know what I mean? Like, go out there, just like Brett and I, we are adding massive value over here to you guys, right? I've seen you guys' comments and how many people and how many more live people are here live with us, right? Well, don't you guys agree? If you're receiving massive value, it's okay to do a plug here or there. It's nothing wrong. You know what is wrong is stealing or lying or promoting something that you are not doing, that you don't believe, right? Is helping somebody and leaving them in a worse place than what they are. That's why I document everything. That's why I love how Brett does his thing, right? He's showing his indicators every Tuesday live, teaching people for free. I teach people for free things all the time, right? On branding, on sales, on marketing, on how to get paid to speak on stages, on how to save your money tax-free so you don't get robbed, by those hedge funds and all these people on TV. Don't be listening to these TV shows and a lot of people on YouTube out there try to act like they can predict the market. Nobody can predict this shit. You know what I mean? You are your best fiduciary agent. If you find somebody like Brett, like myself, that you like, follow us. Go ahead and follow us everywhere, not just on Twitter, but I want to bring more of this to LinkedIn. And I'm so happy to see LinkedIn folks here live with us because we need it. I know Twitter, we always going to be killing it there. You guys love this stuff. I already know you all. But on LinkedIn, man, and Facebook, I can definitely see a massive, massive growth of more of us, Brett, being there, especially with the data that I'm seeing here happening real time and bringing this content. It looks like they like it. They're watching, they're commenting. So very, very cool, brother. And I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I mean, you hinted a tier 2 altcoin with 170x potential in some of our conversations and without naming it. What's the pattern people should look for those in if to find these gems? Please don't name any coins. I don't want to be promoting any projects, but in your opinion, because you know how people are. And at the end of the day, guys, you got to have the big boy pants, the big girl pants, only play what you're willing to lose. Other than the things that are, for example, with becoming the bank, I know you will not lose it because that's only Americans can do it. It's regulated. You literally becoming the bank, whatever money you put in, you don't lose it. It's 0% protected, right? It's the only industry that I can say that you don't lose money is when you become the bank, you leverage insurance to become the bank, to grow your money tax-free and to borrow it tax-free and to double down. That's the only industry in the planet that I can use the word guaranteed by law. I study law. Yeah, crypto, real estate, stocks, and all this stuff. It's a lot of manipulation. Nobody can guarantee shit. If they say they guarantee it, run away. But through my point, Brett, what do you think in your opinion? You and I have been talking some crazy stuff. And you know me, I like to throw in darts on memes just for fun. Like I told you guys earlier, I put, $100 here, $100 there, $100, $100. I don't mind if I lose it. That's why I told you guys, it started with $1. The other day I did a nice 50 and 70x, but with meme, I lose more than I gain. But what do you think in your potential? Now, I'm not talking about memes. I'm talking about outs, some gems without naming it. What's the pattern people should look for to find these gems? Let's give them some gold here.
Sure. Well, I tell you what, I have a chart up that is an example, and to be honest, that in the educational exclusion space, if with one to many recommendations is all right. I just can't tell you one-on-one what to buy. So, just from a strictly educational point of view, here, this is a Filecoin. I'll make you a deal. I'll share you that gem coin with you, and then if I can, I'll just drop after that. another place to find me. But this is
Now, I want you
what
guys to report it back. If you guys take any recommendation here, not a financial advice, reach out to Brett. Hey, Brett, your Twitter is at Brett Fogel.
I think so. I don't know.
It sounds good. That's why I put my here. My is that Coach Cicada. All my other brands is Carlos Inspire on Instagram. We have almost 40,000 followers there. I appreciate if you guys can give me a follow on TikTok at Carlos Inspire. We have over 10,000 there. On LinkedIn, I'm trying to get to 20,000. And Facebook, we have about 50,000 in multiple channels. So we have a nice reach. But what I would appreciate you guys doing, as Brett's finding his Twitter here, if you guys could go to Apple and Spotify, carlosinspireshow.com, or type in Carlos Inspire Show on Apple, on Spotify, and on iHeartRadio. And if you guys could give us a follow there, my friend, I would appreciate it. This podcast is free. I've been interviewing people for almost 20 plus years since MySpace. And we've been professionally recording, and we merged into Apple and Spotify and iHeartRadio back in 6 years ago. This is our 6-year anniversary. And the show is free. As you guys can see, this is the level of education that we bring. I want to bring you guys the best education out there in marketing, in growing companies, in crypto, in insurance, in banking, in hedge fund, in whatever you guys love to learn. I ask my followers, what do you guys want? What is the more that you want? Type in below. Tag somebody here. Who should have been on the Carlos Inspire Show? What other content do you guys want to learn more? You see, ask these questions to your viewers, to your followers, and they will give you the gold. These are the people that listen. I'm so grateful to you all. We are having several thousand downloads every single episode. I was talking to a big producer earlier. Cannot say the name of the companies. We are cooking some stuff, and the show is going to keep getting better. And we're going to be doing some cool partnerships, some major sponsors coming in. We're not going to name any names, but it's going to keep getting better. As you see the level of this show here today, we're going to keep raising the bar and raising the standard. But so do me a favor, guys. Go on Apple and Spotify. Drop a follow there. Follow the show. Save your favorite shows. Leave a review. Hopefully it's a 5%. We are a 5-star. I think it's 4.9 or 5. And we have hundreds of them. And I would appreciate everyone counts. If you guys could go on our YouTube channel at Carlos Inspires on the plural. That's the only platform that's Carlos Inspires on the plural on YouTube. We want to grow that. We have a new YouTube channel there that we were trying to grow. My previous one, as you guys know, we were canceled. We had a little battle with YouTube because I was interviewing people from different backgrounds, bringing people together instead of separating people like the media was trying to do back in the days. And I was bringing the whole world together, and they didn't like that. They didn't like people inspiring people or empowering people, unfortunately. And I like to go against the norm and bring everybody together. I respect everybody's opinion. I don't think we should stop talking to each other because of who we vote for, if we change sex, which religion, which church we go to. At the end of the day, as long as you're not imposing your shit on my family, on my children, I'm cool with you. I used to be a Marine. Hoorah. All my military brothers and sisters out there. I love you guys protecting our countries. USA, let's freaking go, baby. And I'm looking forward. This next 4 years is going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome. You guys are already seeing the change. I'm not going to go political here on you guys today, but let's freaking go, Brett. Continue, brother. I'm loving it.
All right. You remind me of a good friend of mine who's an ex-Marine Corps sniper. He's the most dangerous guy in the room, but the nicest guy in the room at the same time.
Yes,
hey, I've got another call in 2 minutes, so I got to jump. But here's that gem coin here. It's called Filecoin, and essentially it was 170x, but because it's come down to this long-term support level, I always look for how high would it go to the old high? What percentage would it be to the old high? And so Filecoin hit 224 in the last cycle. So from current levels to the old high, just to get back to the old high, would be 6,521% or a 65x. On a Fibonacci projection, which is a little bit more complex, but simple, the measured move on that could go up to 800 in the future. This isn't probably this cycle, but it is possible. That would be a 250x because they essentially are doing cloud storage for data like Amazon AWS. Now, the reason that big companies will use them and not Amazon, especially in the AI sector, because in crypto, they don't want to have a centralized company holding their data. They want to have a decentralized company holding their data. So that's what Filecoin is positioned as the leader in that space. So go check that out. No, not, even if it only goes up here to this level, it does have quite a bit of upside. It's still possibly a 6x. So, that's one of my top coins. And if you guys would like to do more or have a one-on-one call with me, you can go to moonstreamcoaching.com. I specialize in high net worth investors, helping to protect their portfolios and also to maximize this bull run. So you can watch this short video at moonstreamcoaching.com, and happy to hop on a call with you at real no pressure, just see how I can help or maybe point you in the right direction, because I do believe we're doing a disservice by not sharing everything we own, we do with everyone, because there's a lot of stuff out there and people you shouldn't be listening to, and we're being called top 3%. So anyway,
appreciate you, Brett, man. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate. I know that you have a call coming up.
Yeah.
So moonstream.io, best place, and what else that you just mentioned?
moonstreamcoaching.com. And that's
moonstreamcoaching.com. Very good, my brother.
If you want to. So thank you very much, Carlos. So great to see you again.
Yes, I mean, I really enjoyed the show, but we're gonna have to do this more often. You see the number of people here live with us.
I can't see that. Maybe only you can, but I'm looking forward to coming back on anytime, brother.
Yes, sir, man. Stay blessed. Have an amazing rest of your day.
All right. Take care, everyone. Best of luck.
All right, my friend. God bless. All right, guys. I appreciate you all. Hopefully you guys are having an incredible weekend. And I'm looking forward, if you guys let me know, who did you guys know? They are amazing. They are incredible. They should have been on the Carlos Inspire show. Thank you for the love. I'll see you guys out there. You guys know the drill, my friends. If you guys ever going through something difficult or some of you guys know my story, right? My father died in a car explosion. I was a baby in a horrible car accident. And if that wasn't enough, my stepfather was murdered. So I had my fair share dealing with hell and hard times. And I sold bread on the streets, making 50 cents a day for a very long time. How long are you willing to go? You're willing to learn. You're willing to put in the work to achieve your dreams, to achieve your goals, to eventually get on stages with people, amazing people like that. Tony Robbins, Jay Shetty, Liz Brown, just between those three, over 15 billion views on YouTube. And being able to share stages and call them friends. And all that happens because I never gave up. And I pray for the underdogs listening to this show. I pray for every single person that's out there making it happen, going through the struggles, going through the pain, embracing the suck. Just believe in yourself a little bit more today than what you've done yesterday. And whenever you feel like giving up, my friends, remember the little Carlos that sold bread on the streets, now 6'5", 300 pounds, looking you in the eyes, giving you a hug, lifting you out of the floor, and saying, the days that breaks us are truly the days that makes us. Hoorah, let's freaking go.